I don't know if you want to call it heat check, measuring stick game, if this to you is just free money, but the Toronto Maple Leafs close out their road trip tonight for Game 27 of the regular season in Carolina against the Hurricanes, coming off back-to-back wins against the Pittsburgh Penguins and then the Florida Panthers on Tuesday night. The Maple Leafs tried to take advantage of an opportunity here to kind of start to build momentum before they come back home and play against the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday night. Now, look, I'm not fully sold on this team yet. I know there are a lot of people watching the last couple of games, watching them win 3 of their last 4, have started to believe again in this group and what they have to offer, but I'm not quite there. I still have my doubts. I don't think they're that great of a team, and I think the fact that they had it in them to play as poorly as they did to open the season means that they've got that in them to just revert back to that at some point later on this year. And then there was also question marks in my brain about what they had in terms of the high-end level of play. And I still don't know if they've reached that. In terms of what I expected at the beginning of the season, they've still not hit that at all, but what we saw on Tuesday night in particular, and we started to see seeping into their game a little bit on Saturday night, at least made you believe that maybe it's in there somewhere. Maybe they could kind of start to morph into that, and they showed flashes. So all you could really hope for tonight against Carolina, win, lose, overtime, shootout, I don't care how it gets done. I don't care what point of the game it goes to tonight. For me, I want to at least see a build off of what they did on Tuesday night and a little bit of what they did on Saturday night. I want to see a couple of things throughout the rest of the lineup, like another solid game from Joseph Woll. I want to see a better defensive structure like what they had on Tuesday night. I want to see it harder to play against, harder to play against in their own zone. And on top of that, I really want to see that third line just continue to pick up momentum from what they've had over the last 2 games. All 3 of those guys on that line between Bobby McMann, Nicholas Waugh, and Dakota Joshua have faced plenty of criticism, deservingly so. But now you start to see them putting it together, playing together, building chemistry, and becoming that line that you could kind of look at before the season started and at least say, if some of those guys, even if it wasn't all of them, but if some of those guys played together in your bottom 6, ideally on that third line, you're going to develop an identity and you can accomplish what you're setting out to achieve of putting a checking line out there that's hard to handle. It's physical, they play heavy, and they can produce some offense. And that's kind of what you started to see over the last couple of games from that third line in particular, and this team in general. So, as we head to Carolina tonight for Game 27, those are the biggest things on my list of items that I want to see checked off in this game. And then on top of that, I mean, I do want to see points. If they lose, it is what it is, but losing in overtime or a shootout is much more palatable than just losing and not getting any points in this game tonight when you consider their ability to climb up the standings if they can at least put together some points. You look at the Eastern Conference, you look at the teams that are ahead of them right now, whether it be wild card spots or if it's in the Atlantic, you're effectively 3 to 4 points behind some of the teams that you're looking at and saying, wow, those are the ones that early in the year we declared juggernauts, and this is their year, and they've arrived. You know, the Montreal Canadiens, the Ottawa Senators, their fan bases clowned the Maple Leafs because of the start to the season that the Leafs had, and vice versa, the start to the seasons the Sens and the Habs had gotten off to, and how good things had looked or have looked in those cities, and how bleak it had looked in Toronto. And now here we are heading into Game 27, realizing you're a stone's throw away from those teams in the standings. And if you want to catch them, you need to put together points. So even if it's a loss, as long as it's a point that goes to your total, I think we can stomach that as Leafs fans. This game preview is a presentation of Bet365. I'm Zach Phillips. Before we get into our best bet later on in the show, let's get on over to Daily Faceoff for what we've got for lines. Today, unfortunately, is probably going to be a bit of a shorter game preview, just given no changes. No changes to the forwards, the D, or the goaltending here tonight. There's going to be something we'll touch on a little bit that I do want to dig into, but before we get there, forward lines remaining the same. First line, Nyes, Matthews, Domi. Again, you still need a top 6 guy to replace Max Domi. I think Easton Cowan has shown that he can be your top 6 guy with John Tavares and Nylander. We had questions going into the season, coming out of preseason and camp. Who's going to be the guy to fill that spot? Is it McCabe? Is it Nick Robertson? Do you have to go externally and find 2 guys to fill out your top 6? I think at least to this point, that question is answered. It's Easton Cowan. Easton Cowan has grabbed a hold of that top 6 spot and just not looked back. I mean, since he got sent down to the Marlies at some point earlier on in this season, he's rejoined the Maple Leafs and made no mistake about the opportunities that he's gotten. He looked really good when he was playing on your 3rd and your 4th lines, to the point that Craig Berube said, this kid can't be playing with them every shift. We need to get him more minutes. We need to get him more opportunities. And then he joined the boys up in the top 6. And that was during a period of time where Matthews was out. Nyes ended up going out then as well. We did see even for a period where Willie was out and Cowan and JT were left to deal with it. And Easton Cowan has just stepped up to the plate and risen to the occasion every opportunity that he's got. He's putting up points. He's contributing. He's becoming a problem when he's out there. He battles. He doesn't give up on plays. Like, Easton Cowan is a guy who's just showing you night in, night out, you can trust me and I can produce for you. So Easton Cowan, I mean, I think you found one of your answers, but you're still looking for the other one. You want the guy who can replace Max Domi. Down to your 3rd line right now, Dakota Joshua, Nick Waugh, Bobby McMann. I touched on it a little bit in that little ramble I went on to open this video, but they looked really, really good on Tuesday night, and they've looked pretty good when you look at the body of work between the last 2 games. Now, each one of them has had their moments. Nick Waugh is the one that I look at the most and say he's been building something over the last little while leading up to his injury, which worried me about him getting an injury, saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this is the moment where he takes a step back in the way he's played, and maybe we lose some of that, but he kind of stepped back from the injury, or stepped in after the injury, and just kind of immediately figured things out again, like just kind of got right back on track, started playing his game again, and seems to be this guy that is a little bit more reliable. He can provide you some offense. He can provide you with some size. And again, when we talk about checking and heaviness and physicality, I think a lot of times it gets misconstrued, especially here in Toronto, when you kind of went from polar opposites where it was like strictly skill, strictly speed, no ability to stick up for yourself. When this market starts demanding, and people in this market start demanding heaviness and toughness, it's not, and checking players, it's not necessarily like bringing back Colton Orr and Fraser McLaren and bashing guys' heads in. It's like, can you play physically well defensively? Are you easy to get by? Are you easy to win battles against? When you forecheck, are defensemen looking back over their shoulder and being like, oh, it's that guy, whatever? Or are they thinking, hey, I got to move this puck quickly. I got to get up ice. I got to turn this thing around. When you cross over into the Leafs defensive zone, are the players you're putting on the ice going to be guys who are just going to be skating alongside you like they've got their hips attached to you and that's kind of it and you're not really dealing with much? Or do they make you feel it a little bit while they're chasing you around? Do they make you have to get creative with your time and your space because they're taking away the time and space rather than just giving it to you? Like, how does that kind of play when these guys come here? And to start the season, the guys that we looked at as heavy checking guys didn't play that way. You know, they were just slow and heavy and not physical. They didn't check. They weren't hard to play against. So now you're just watching these guys who are bigger, heavier, can't keep up, and we're just getting their shit kicked in, basically. Now, over the last couple of games, again, small sample size. Let's prove to us what you can do in the long run and if you can put it together for a few games. But starting to watch them transition into, like, it's not easy to play against us. It's not easy to go through the neutral zone. It's not easy in our zone. And then when we forecheck, you will feel it. And we can put a psycho game on you. That's kind of what I've seen out of the third line in the last 2 games where it starts to progress a little bit. And then the other thing that does that gives you like a little bit added benefit is if you can be heavier and harder to play against, whether people want to admit this or not, the reality is if you're just skating around defending guys and not really having to do too much because they're not physical against you when you're the defending team, if they've got the puck and they're just battling and pushing on you and you have to fight for every inch of ice, that's a lot harder to play against than it is if they're just skating around and you can kind of like follow them with your stick and not have to do too much because they're not making life difficult. And then if you can physically wear them down and you can hold a possession game and you can cycle while also beating them down a little bit, if they ice the puck and you get an opportunity or you have a chance now for one guy to sneak off and get a line change and bring out Auston Matthews and Matthew Nyes or Nylander and Tavares and Cowan, those guys come over the boards, it's a lot easier for them to take advantage of the matchup situation, take advantage of a tired group, maybe capitalize on those chances where now you can start to see some of the benefits coming on the other side. Like some of it is just some stupid, simple stuff, but reality is what we've seen before where we're like, yeah, that line can really possess the puck. Like Alex Kerfoot can really skate circles in the O-zone. It's like, that's great. Is he actually doing anything positive? Is he wearing down the other team or does he just skate around with the puck? Now, mind you, it's much better to possess the puck in the offensive zone than not at all, which we saw for the first 20 plus games of the year. But over the last couple, it started to turn more into watch this. Watch us cycle the puck. Watch us develop an offensive shift in the offensive zone and hold on in there and pen guys in, and they're out there for 60, 90, 2 minutes, and you're just hemming them in for a while. Much better games out of them the last couple. Steven Lorentz, Scott Laughton, and Nick Robertson on tonight's fourth line. Again, I want to see a little bit more from Nicky Bobby, but the play he made on the Scott Laughton goal in the Florida game the other night, I thought was tremendous. Like, the guy is just a fucking battler. He works his bag off right now. Whether the offenses are coming or not, the thing that I will give credit to Nick Robertson for is that he's working his nuts off. And if he's not scoring right now, he's at least trying to impact the game in other ways. That's not something I feel like I could have said about him in previous years. And whether that was for a lack of trying or not, I'm not really sure. I can't say, but he didn't have another aspect to his game. Seems like he's developed that here now. Scott Laughton, want to touch on for 1 second. I took a lot of shit last year and at the beginning of this year for my love of Scott Laughton, saying that Scott Laughton was going to come back and really positively impact this team. A lot of people were saying that that was ridiculous, and I think part of that is because of the trade package that he was involved in. And I know it was expensive, and I'm not trying to justify that. But my whole point is, this guy is the type of player you want in your fucking lineup. Scott Laughton is the type of guy you want in your room. He's the guy you want on the bench with guys. He's the guy you want around when things are going bad, whether it's because of the mindset he brings, if it's the vocal leadership, if it's just the way he plays, it doesn't matter. Like, that's the guy you want out there with you when things are going well, when things are tight, when things are bad. That's the guy you want on the bench. And, Scott Laughton could score 0 goals and 0 assists for the rest of the season. And while that would be less than ideal, the way Scott Laughton plays and what he brings to the team and the lineup is something that every fucking team around the NHL should want and should have, to be honest with you. And if Scott Laughton, just by playing the way that he does and having attention to detail and fucking working his dick off every single shift, can do that for the Maple Leafs, even if he's not going to put up points, which I was happy to see him score the other night, but even if he doesn't do that, Scott Laughton is going to make a positive impact on this team. I can guarantee it. And this is a guy that I love having here, and I think we're starting to see some of the positive returns of Scott Laughton being in this lineup just by what he does for guys around him and just the intensity he brings and how hard he works on every shift. Like, I fucking love this guy. I'll be honest. I love what he brings. I love what he represents, and I'm happy that Scott Laughton is finally healthy here now and starting to look a little bit more like Scott Laughton that we thought we were acquiring at the deadline last year. Even though it didn't quite work out through the remainder of the regular season and the playoffs, you're starting to see it here from Scott Laughton right now. Like, this guy's a fucking battler, man. I love what Scott Laughton brings to the table. That's your fourth line and your forward group for tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. Nothing really to touch on with the defense, just for people here quickly. Dakota Mermis remains out of the lineup. You're also going to get OEL, Morgan Rielly as your first pair. You get Jake McCabe and Troy Stecher as your second, Benoit and Myers as your third. Just a quick note, Troy Stecher, man, I think every time he speaks, people love him more. Talking about, I got to work hard. Every shift is an audition. I'm trying to prove I'm trying to be here in the NHL. I deserve to be here in the NHL. I think that's what Leafs fans can resonate with. Guys who just work hard. They battle. They want to be here. They don't take things for granted. That's what Troy Stecher is doing right now. And on top of that, he's working well with Jake McCabe. Like, OEL has been the best defenseman on this team by far to start this season. And I think part of what separated him was that Jake McCabe was left to fend for himself. Like, OEL was just doing whatever he's doing because it didn't seem to matter who he was playing with. Jake McCabe kind of like had to shoulder the load of no Chris Tanev, no Brandon Carlo. Like, it's all up to you. You're looking at the partners that are rotating through there, whether it was Morgan Rielly or Philippe Myers or Benoit or Mermis or whoever you want to name that had gone through and played with McCabe. He's battling to like lift everybody else up and make everyone else better and like take on this load of minutes and matchups and everything. And it seemed to just be killing him. Not that he can't handle it or doesn't want it, but taking it on in that capacity and being like the only guy who can go out and do anything. When you look at before OEL had really stepped up, when you look at like who was out and what was going to have to transpire here if this team was going to get the defense it needed, it was on Jake McCabe's shoulders. Troy Stecher has come in, fits really well with McCabe. They're playing confidently and comfortably together. Now all of a sudden you're getting this pair that's like dynamic. They work well. They communicate well. They move pucks well. Like, you've kind of found something in these guys that I don't know if it sticks together when you get your guys healthy, like Chris Tanev you want up in your lineup. Brandon Carlo, you're probably going to find a spot when he returns unless you move him before that happens. But, Troy Stecher has for sure earned a spot in this lineup, and I think he provides you some versatility. Right-handed, moves the puck, works his bag off, responsible, mature approach to the game. I think he works well with Jake McCabe, and then it gives you just some options when those guys come back. The other thing to note here, first power play unit as of right now says no changes. 5-forward unit listed on Daily Faceoff: Nyes, Tavares, Cowan, Matthews, Nylander. Your second unit would include McMann, Domi, Waugh, and then 2 defensemen in Rielly and OEL. I'll just say I can't imagine tonight against Carolina they roll with that. It feels as though this is the type of game you got to switch back to a defenseman back there. For me, the guy that I would want to put back on the defensive side on that power play is Oliver Ekman-Larsson. You've tried over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, you've tried a billion times with Morgan Rielly to make this work on the power play, and it just doesn't seem to want to go. And it's not like OEL is some power play guru, but historically in his career, Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been more successful on the power play than Morgan Rielly. I think OEL is the kind of guy, especially with the season he's having right now, who can provide you an offensive touch. He can shoot. He can score from the point. He can be a threat from the blue line there with that shot and keep guys honest. And he's also a guy who can facilitate and move the puck well. Then on top of that, you're running into issues on the defensive side. You've given up 3 shorthanded goals so far this season. How many times have you given up odd man rushes or just breakaways or whatever that you're giving up when you are on the power play? I think OEL kind of eliminates some of that because, in my opinion, he's better defensively than Morgan Rielly. Like, he's just a better player right now and more trustworthy a player, maybe I should say, than what Morgan Rielly is. That's the guy I would quarterback my power play and have out there on PP1 right now. But who knows what they'll do? I mean, I say that, and then we'll come out tonight, and it'll be Troy Stecher back there, which, I mean, maybe that's fine, but I don't know if I'd be handing the keys to power play 1 to Troy Stecher right now. I just wouldn't overcompensate and be like, Jake McCabe, you're the guy going out there because we need defense. Like, yeah, sure, but your power play also can't fucking score right now either. So this isn't just a matter of giving up opportunities on the defensive side. You also can't score. Like, you got to figure that out, because if you could get goals, then maybe you just don't give up as many defensive chances. It's a battle back and forth here right now. how this team approaches things on a nightly basis. Joseph Woll is your goaltender for the Maple Leafs tonight, and on the other side, it looks like maybe Freddie Andersen, unconfirmed as of right now. It's harsh of me to say, but you want my opinion? My opinion is that Freddie Andersen is not a guy who loves going in net. You talk about all the opportunities for him for revenge games and stepping up in big moments, and he seems to be a guy who's pretty willing to get himself out of there and get himself out of harm's way. And here's another opportunity for Freddie against the Maple Leafs tonight. I don't know. Like we saw Bussy earlier in the season against Toronto. My knock on Freddie the whole time he was here in Toronto was inability to stay healthy or just play in the net in general, and it's been something that's plagued him in Carolina. Now, obviously, he did deal with something pretty significant. I'm not trying to make light of that. It was obviously something serious. I'm glad that he's okay, but it seems like he's back to health, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's the guy. You can't trust that he's going in net for you on a nightly basis, which has to be a frustrating thing for Carolina, but unconfirmed as Daily Faceoff has listed right now. So who the hell knows if Freddie Andersen plays tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. With that, let's get to our best bet segment. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code NATION. That's NATION. Promo code NATION. NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. Best bets have been awful. There's no way other than that to put it, that they have stunk. We have lost 13 consecutive best bets. That's bad. Like there's no easy way to say that, ladies and gentlemen. 14 actually, sorry, best bets. Record is now 10-28-1. Not good. 10-28-1. Not good. So we're going to go with 2. And we'll see if this plays out any better here and can maybe get us into a better spot. But the first thing we're going to do is jump on over to the Bet365 page and see what we've got for the odds on either side of this one here tonight. So taking a look at Bet365, the Leafs plus 175, massive underdogs here against the Carolina Hurricanes, minus 210 for Carolina tonight. The total of 6, minus 120 to the over, 6, plus 100 to the under 6 on Bet365 right now. If I was ever looking for an opportunity to bet the Maple Leafs, which is not something I have done traditionally because they're never really priced like this, tonight would be a night that I would have some interest. That is not the main bet that we're going to go with tonight. The other thing that I would say is looking to bet this thing to go to overtime, I think wouldn't be bad. Also, like a tie no bet. Leafs winning in reg might be a decent look at plus 190. But yeah, this thing to go to overtime, or the other one is a double chance. Toronto Maple Leafs or tie is kind of a fun one there as well. But that's not where we're looking. We're going to our best bet segment in the player props section as always. That's my favorite spot to go. And I've got 2 best bets in this one. So the first one we're going with is a smaller bet. Now, I think part of this is just because of what I think about the number and how I feel about the number he's listed at. Part of it is how I feel that this guy's been playing lately. But the first one we're going to go with is an Easton Cowan anytime goal at plus 400. We're going to put $25 on that one. $25 will profit you here tonight. 100. So that is our first best bet of the night. I just think Easton Cowan's been playing really well. He's getting opportunities to go out there with this first group, with that second line. And based on the way Craig Berube deploys these guys, just genuinely right now, like, I don't think that you're that far off between a first line and a second line to the point where Cowan, Tavares, and Nylander could get a lot more opportunities. Nylander is a great playmaker. I know he's a goal scorer. He's a guy who's leading in that front, but he's a guy who can make plays. He can make things happen. So I think Easton Cowan is a guy who can benefit from that. He can also, like, Nylander distracts. He's the guy everybody focuses on. Hey, Nylander's the one who's going to shoot. He's the one who's going to score. All of a sudden, bang, Easton Cowan becomes open and can benefit from it. So $25 on Easton Cowan plus 400 anytime goal will profit you 100. Our other best bet is actually going to go to a guy on the same line here tonight. We're going a half unit on William Nylander anytime goal plus 200. I know it was brought up the other day. The bets can be predictable. You know who I'm going to go with on a nightly basis, and I think that that's pretty much fair. I've got my guys, and I go back to them. If you look at the sheet this year and go back and watch every video, it has fluctuated a little bit, but William Nylander anytime goal, I know it's a guy that I bet on a lot. I'm going back to him tonight. Plus 200, $50 will profit you 100 here tonight against the Canes. Part of it is just, I think that Nylander's been a little quiet when it's come to the offensive side lately, and not to say he doesn't have any points, like he's gotten them, he's picked some up here and there, but like it kind of feels like that Nylander 2-goal game or 1-goal, 1-assist game, it's just loading. It's waiting to happen, or it pops off and he's the big dog and he's the guy who wins the game for you. So I'm expecting that coming soon, and I'm going to bet on it happening here tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. With that, that'll end the game preview for today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe here to this channel, Leaf Station 401, right here on YouTube. Thank you guys for supporting. Thank you for watching. As always, I want to see in the comments who's winning tonight. What's your best bet? How do you feel about this team? Do you trust them? Like, just give me your thoughts on this team through 26 games as we head into game 27. How do you feel about the group? Do you think that they're back? Do you trust them now? All of it. I want to hear everything. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for commenting. I will be back here tonight following the game against the Carolina Hurricanes for game number 27 of the regular season for another edition of Leaf Station After Dark later tonight. Thank you all for watching. See you guys then. Till then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.